Rebecca Balcarcel. Welcome to the 6 Minute Scholar and this poem by Limon. It's called Dandelion, Insomnia. Let's take a look at the poem and then discuss. The big-ass bees are back, tipsy, sun-drunk, and heavy with thick knitted leg warmers of pollen. I was up all night again, so today's yellow hours seem strange and hallucinogenic. The neighborhood is lousy with mowers, crazy dogs, and people mending what winter ruined. What I can't get over is something simple, easy. How could a dandelion seed head seemingly grow overnight? A neighbor mows the lawn and bam, the next morning there's 100 dandelion seed heads straight as arrows and proud as cats, high above any green blade of manicured grass. It must bug some folks, a flower so tricky it can reproduce asexually, making perfect identical selves. Bam, another me. Bam, another me. I can't help it. I root for that persecuted rosette, so hyper in its own making, it seems to devour the land. Even its name, translated from the French, Dandelion, means lion's tooth. It's vicious, made for a time that requires tenacity, a way of remaking the toughest self while everyone else is asleep. Okay. When I read this, I was so excited. I knew I wanted to share with you and just give my thoughts. So I like the tone. It's casual, right? It's not buttoned up with a tie. It's very much conversational. So immediately we get the big ass bees are back. And so we have the repetition of the letter B, and a word like big ass is obviously colloquial, casual, and we get to see the bees, and the bees lead us into really a description of what else is happening outside in this neighborhood. But we spend some time with those bees. They're tipsy, sun drunk. So notice how sun and drunk both have the same sound in the middle. That's assonance. And then heavy with thick knitted leg warmers of pollen. So if you've seen bee legs, maybe in a video or something, they get the pollen and they store it on their legs. And it is like little yellow leg warmers around their legs. It's a cute image and kind of cozy image. And thick knitted, it almost rhymes, those two words. There's attention to sound in this poem quite a bit. Miss Limon is using sound a lot. And while you can't see it on the page, you can't see it because I'm not showing you the page, I'll tell you that her line, leg warmers of pollen, there's a line break. So leg warmers, and then a new line begins of pollen. And that's sentence number 1. So she's using something called enjambment. The sense of the line carries beyond the line break, pushing us forward. And this whole poem has a sense of pushing forward. In fact, she talks about herself having to push forward. So I like that the form and the content have this mirroring going on. So the second sentence is when she admits how hard it is for her to push forward. I was up all night again. And we aren't told why she's up all night, but it sounds hard. It sounds, like she's probably tired now. And whatever she was doing all night was probably difficult, because otherwise she would have been asleep. Maybe emotionally difficult, mentally difficult. So today's yellow hours, she says, seem strange and hallucinogenic. I feel like that's very accurate, because if you miss a lot of sleep, you're sort of, like it affects how you perceive that morning light. you're not quite experiencing everything in a normal way. So, yeah, hallucinogenic. The neighborhood is lousy with mowers, crazy dogs, and people mending what winter ruined. So here's a description. We've been zoomed in on the bee, then we go to the speaker of the poem, and now we're looking out at the neighborhood. And people are mowing their lawns. And I like how the word lousy and the word crazy almost rhyme also. Um, and to have the neighborhood lousy with mowers, it kind of sounds like she's not thrilled about that there's a lot of mower noise going on. And then the crazy dogs, so the sounds of the neighborhood. People mending what winter ruined. Okay, so literally people might be, you know, raking leaves that are left over from the winter, mending walls, fences, flower beds, whatever yard work remains the next spring. But thematically, as I said, she tells us that she was up all night, something difficult. She's trying to push through something, and winter has destroyed things, and now there's mending that needs to be done, fixing that needs to be done. Yeah, like her life, sure. Yeah, things that are dead in her life that need to come back alive, or things that are uh, neglected over the winter or destroyed by the cold. Yeah, I mean, repairing. This is a season of repair, inner and outer. What I can't get over is something simple. And I love the conversational tone again. Like she's really talking to us in her normal, real voice. The poet feels really close to the speaker here. The speaking voice of the poem feels very genuine and close to us. What I can't get over is something simple, easy, and now we have a colon. So this announces what simple thing can she not, fathom, get over. How could a dandelion seed head simply grow overnight? So we've been talking about the yard in general and like the neighborhood and what people are doing outside, and now we're focusing in on dandelions, which is in the title of the poem, Dandelion Insomnia. So this is really getting to the heart of the poem. She's amazed that they can grow overnight. A neighbor mows the lawn and bam, next morning there's 100 dandelion seed heads, she says, straight as arrows, proud as cats, high above any green blade of manicured grass. So you're trying to have your perfect grass manicured, but here pops up the dandelion. It's very straight. When she says high as cats, proud as cats, high above, it reminds me how cats are sort of independent, aloof, or they have that reputation anyway. So you feel like they don't care about the manicured lawn. And these dandelions, they don't care about your special lawn that you put so much time into. No, we're here, standing proud. Yeah, with a bit of disinterest in your project, whatever, your idea for this lawn is. So that's kind of fun. And then, let's see, any manicured grass. Oh, and again, there's a little bit of sound play. Manicured grass has that sound repeated. So then she goes on, it must bug some folks. So now that we talk about dandelions, she's going to reflect. Or, the speaker of the poem is saying, some people must get annoyed by these dandelions because they're so resilient. And she says because a flower is so tricky, it can reproduce asexually. So this flower outsmarts us, and it really does. They're everywhere, even where we just got rid of them. So she says it must bug some people that they can do this. They're tricky, making perfect identical selves. Bam, another me. Bam, another me. So now let's think about the figurative sense of this here. She admires the flower because it's resilient. It pops up even when people don't want it to. it can reproduce itself, it can reinvent itself. And isn't that what she's doing in the middle of the night? And she talks about it at the end, of course, more directly. But already we can see another me. It's hard not to think of the speakers also echoing themselves. Like, yes, I have to make other me's too. I can't be static and stay the same person. And the force and the energy required to reinvent yourself or to be another me is to be admired, like the dandelions. So, and the flower is independent, right? Reproducing asexually, meaning without the like needing two separate beings to create a third. This is a self-sufficient system here with the dandelion. Is that hinting toward what the speaker is trying to be also? Not literally asexual, but independent, self-sufficient, strong, and standing proud. I think it could be. So it makes perfect selves, right? It can reproduce itself, perfect identical selves. And then she says, I can't help it. And we get a dash after that. So what can't you help? Well, I'll tell you. I root for that persecuted rosette. And to root for the persecuted rosette is the dandelion, who is always considered a weed. People are always trying to spray it and pick it and get rid of it. It's persecuted by lawn owners. And it's a rosette because it's in a little circle. And she says, I root for it, which is a fun word because it means to be on its side, like I'm with the dandelion. And at the same time, it's a plant word, right? The dandelion has roots, so it's almost a little bit of a pun there. So she roots for the dandelion. She's on its side. She's hoping it wins. So hyper in its own making, it seems to devour the land. Ooh. So she's rooting for the dandelion, not for the manicured grass. She's rooting for the wild, strong, resilient thing that reproduces itself and takes over even. So hyper in its own making. There's such energy with the dandelion. And it seems to devour, meaning to eat up all the land. It claims all that land, propagates itself. That's something she admires. This power, this energy. Even its name, translated from the French, and this is true, Dandelion means teeth of the lion. Dent is spelled D-E-N-T, and we have in English the word dental. So that's, you can see the relationship there. But it means lion's tooth. So dandelion is how we pronounce it, but it really came from Dandelion, lion's tooth. She says it's vicious. Okay, so the dandelion is not just energetic and reinventing itself and reproducing itself, it's also vicious, made for a time that requires tenacity. Tenacity is determination, will, not giving up. So the flower needs tenacity, and the speaker also, the person telling this poem, needs tenacity too, and has some tenacity, because then it goes on to say, a way of remaking the toughest self while everyone else is asleep. So remember back to that line. She says, I was up all night again. So this is what she was doing too. Or I'm saying she, but the speaker. The speaker is remaking the toughest self while everyone else is asleep. The speaker says that's what the dandelion is doing, but that's also what the speaker's doing. In the night, those long hours, that's what was going on. Remaking a self that can be tough, that can be more like the dandelion. And remember that the speaker also talked about how dandelions show up overnight. They were mowed down or sprayed or whatever the day before, but no, the next day, there they are. They're survivors. And the speaker seems to be drawing a parallel between herself and the dandelions. hence the title, right? Dandelion, Insomnia. Both the dandelion and the speaker are spending the night growing, appearing, reinventing themselves, their toughest selves, even. Yeah. So, I hope you enjoyed this poem, and I hope you'll find more of her work. The poet is Ada Limon, poet laureate right now of the United States, and author of several books. So check her out, and I hope you'll join me for another video soon. Cheers.